Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cybersecurity Mentoring Group for today. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us for the first time, this is Cybersecurity Mentoring Group, a platform where we share, we learn, and we connect with professionals. What we do is we invite professionals who have been there, who have done that, and we leverage their experience to be able to provide clarity to people who want to start their journey or who are on their journey to cybersecurity. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome, and I trust that you will find something great for you to go with today. First, as I would always do, I would like to talk about a topic that is very important in cybersecurity, and some of you may also be aware of it, which is vulnerabilities. Vulnerability is something that you will find in the mouths of every cybersecurity professional, because really it is the meat for hackers and the things that actually give cybersecurity professionals sleepless nights. Now, as a member of the cybersecurity community, you are also responsible to help organizations, because if you look after other people, other professionals, there's possibility that others too will look after you. And what do I mean? Vulnerabilities are the meat of hackers. And the more they are, the more professionals are disturbed and troubled with sleepless nights. So vulnerability disclosure is that if you find an open door into your neighbor's house, what do you do as a cybersecurity professional? If hackers find an open door into their neighbor's house, what they will do is to exploit it, and they will exploit it for their own advantage. But as cybersecurity professional, you are supposed to do what we call responsible disclosure. It means that you won't go online and shout that your neighbor's door is opened. What you will do is probably get a phone call across and let the neighbor know that, yeah, you left your door open yesterday. Can you take care of that? Now, so what I want to share today is how we can be responsible member of the cybersecurity community, helping others, because it is a global world and we also will depend on them one way or the other. And so this topic is so important that ISO actually creates a standard for it. ISO 29147 and ISO 30111. The first one is about how you can disclose vulnerability in a responsible way. And it is for both professionals and organizations. And when vulnerabilities are then disclosed to you as an organization, there's also a process for which you should handle that vulnerability. Not long, my colleague came across a vulnerability on a website. And when I was told, all I asked the colleague to do is just to check the website and see whether there's a way for you to report. And indeed, there were means for us to get across to the company, and we did got across to them. And this is how we are showing that we care about the community, because if, in quotes, the bad guys get a hold of that information, they will exploit it. And when they exploit it, they are going to cause irreparable damage to the organization. Either staff are now having sleepless nights, or even some people will lose their job. So when you come across vulnerabilities, there are processes in which you should follow. And this also is about your own organization. Does your organization have a vulnerability disclosure process? If someone comes across your website and they find out that your website is vulnerable, is there a way for them to get across to you? Again, I understand that there are processes for getting across to the data protection officer or the customer care. But is there a way for them to get across to the CISO that there's a vulnerability on the website or there's a vulnerability on your product? And then is there a process in which you are going to handle that vulnerability? Some people may have gotten across and it was total silence, right? And that's not the recommended way of which you are expected to treat someone who has told you your door was opened. What you should do is to acknowledge that 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 vulnerability and then take measures to correct it. Now, again, sometimes the thing you get for disclosing vulnerability is thank you. And people sometimes, they don't think thank you is enough for me to spend my time to tell you about your door being left open. So organizations such as the Big Four created an opportunity for people who found out vulnerability to earn through that process. Again, there's a process around you earning from a vulnerability, and it's popularly called bug bounty. So what I have done is to look for some top organizations and their processes for reporting of participating in a bug bounty. So we have Microsoft Bug Bounty Program and the website, Google Bug Hunters, Meta Bug Bounty for Cisco, and Apple Security Bounty. If you go online and you just type bug bounty for any organization, just put the name of the organization there, you will know whether they have a a bug bounty program. And what this program does is that it's almost like you as a product owner going to the public and say, if you can help me find a vulnerability in this product, I am going to reward you. And I think it looks like you are confident in your product, but before people find out that your product is not strong or is not watertight, it's not built with best security practices in mind, you want to have people check it. And this is really the opportunity that organizations then put money behind it and say, if you can find a vulnerability on this service, we will pay you X amount of money. So on the left-hand side, the first one is for Microsoft. So Microsoft, on their cloud programs or cloud platforms such as Microsoft Azure, they have paid up to $60,000. And you can read the rest of the products. And on that page, you will find several of Microsoft products that they have paid money to people who identified vulnerability. The second one is Google. Google also have such program where they reward individuals who find security researcher. In fact, I make a joke at work and said Google is one of those websites that, or sorry, one of those products, especially Google Chrome, that it is almost every day or every other day that they would release a patch for the vulnerability that has been identified on their products. And it means that there are people that are actively looking and searching for vulnerability on products. But how do you reward them? And this is what the bug bounty has done. We invited someone, a CISO, one time, I think it was the first session this year, and he was involved in bug bounty program, and he won some serious cash from that, or recognition from that program. So if you have good time in your hand, or you want to demonstrate your skill in cybersecurity, and especially in things about finding out something that is wrong, this program may be something for you. So this is Apple for 2 million that they have rewarded people who have found things. And the last one there, I think this is Meta also, who have also rewarded. So 25 million total rewards up to date that they are given out. Now, maybe you are asking, what can I do? Yeah, you can go online and look for bug bounty programs. HackerOne, CSO Online published about 9 top bug bounty that were launched in 2025, and you can read about it. Or please do not go forward. Do not attempt to find vulnerability without going through the guidelines. They will tell you where or what the scope is, so that you can play within that window. Again, if you go outside that scope, in some jurisdiction, you can be taken as someone who is trying to break a system, and it's a crime. So please, if you are interested, you can read more about bug bounty programs and then see how you can participate and demonstrate your skill and be rewarded. This is just the awareness I would like to create today, and then I will go on to the our program for today. So So far, this should be our 25th edition for 2025. What this means is that we have invited cybersecurity professionals, 25 of them. And if you are here for the first time, the link below the screen means that you can go online and to YouTube, especially, to watch all of the 24 that we have had so far. And trust me, you will find a topic that will speak to your area of need. So if you're interested, go to the link. And then if you're also interested in joining our community, you can go online and you'll find us on LinkedIn. We do organize programs. In fact, we just completed an identity and access management course. It took us about 7 weeks, 14 lectures, 14 lectures. And we got someone who works as a consultant in identity and access management. And he took us through the process. So we use Azure platform, and we took us through that process. And I'm sure some of the people on the call were beneficiary of that program. Again, because we have people who volunteer their time, is at no cost to the attendees. So all we just needed is people come to class, listen, and then participate in the program. So if you are interested and you would like to follow up with some of the programs that we have on the pipeline, stay close to the cybersecurity mentoring group online on LinkedIn. And trust me, 2026 is loaded. It's 2026, we're planning 2026, and we would kick off hopefully by January, and then we'll take it as it comes. So getting on today, I was going through TL on LinkedIn, and I came across an article. And as I would do with some articles, I took interest in this and I read it. And I listened to also the conversation behind the articles, the comments and the arguments. But the article resonates with me so much. But it's because I have a community. I'm building a community of people who are interested in cybersecurity. Some have followed that interest with action, which means they've taken courses and they've written certifications, but they are still waiting for that first opportunity in cyber. So I've been asked many times, how do I get my first role in cyber? And I thought that, yeah, you haven't done the wrong thing. You have actually done what you're supposed to do. In fact, I have had someone told me that ISC2 did a workforce survey, I think in 2024, and they published that there are about 4 million opportunities in cybersecurity for professionals. And someone is asking me, I said, there are 4 million vacancies, but why can't I be one of the 4 million? So that's a good question. So when I came across that article, I thought that Tiyi provided some context that may help people who are waiting. So while you are waiting for your first cyber role, what should you be doing? And I reached out to Tiyi and I said, please, can you come and share your thought with us and see how you can help the community, take maybe make some changes in their waiting, and see whether that will give them the opportunities that they have been looking for. So Tiyi, welcome, and we're so glad to have you today joining us for Cybersecurity Mentoring Group and sharing on the topic, building proof, even with zero cyber experience.
Thank you very much, Wale, for having me. It's such a pleasure to come and chat to your audience around cybersecurity.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I will because it's your show, I will go off camera, mute my mic, and I will allow you. So I've given you the right to share your screen. So please take it away from me. Thank you. I'll be here listening. When you need me, just let me know.
No problem. I'm gonna be sharing shortly. Please just let me know once you're able to see.
Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay, let me just put this in presentation mode. All right, perfect. So let's kick off, right? Maybe before I delve into the discussion that I want to share with your audience today, Wale, I would just like to give a little bit of a background about myself, right? Um, so personally, I've been working in the technology as well as cybersecurity space for just over 14 years now. Over those 14 years, I've actually occupied different roles within IT and cybersecurity. I think it resonates a lot with people because in most cases, we will find that people that work in cybersecurity did not really start by getting, their first job in cybersecurity. They start from different areas of the IT spectrum as well as other domains as well. So for me personally, I started in a support role as an IT support engineer. I worked in that for about 1 year, and then I moved into a business analyst role, which I did for about 2 years or so. And then I moved into a systems analyst role, which I did for about 3 to 4 years. From there, that's when I moved into a security and risk specific role. And from there, I kept on building my cybersecurity skills up until today, where I'm currently working as a senior information security officer for one of the mining companies in South Africa. From an industry perspective, I have worked in quite a number of industries. I've worked in the public sector, I've worked in utilities, I've worked in telecommunications, I've worked in banking, and most recently, I'm now working in mining. From a qualifications perspective, I do have a couple of qualifications in IT and software engineering, and I'm currently pursuing a master's in information security. And from a certification perspective, I am a certified information systems security professional, amongst other, IT and cybersecurity certifications. So with that, I think let's move into the actual presentation. So as a start, I just want us to discuss briefly why this masterclass is important, especially for people that are interested in pursuing a career in cybersecurity. Wale actually mentioned in his introduction that there are about 4 million opportunities based on research that are there in the world around cybersecurity. So essentially, cybersecurity right now is exploding with opportunities, right? Now, people who want to enter the cybersecurity space are overwhelmed more than ever because they really, really don't know how is it that they need to go about actually entering the field. Um, then in this discussion that we're going to have today, I'm hoping that, in fact, I know that you will live with a roadmap that you can follow in terms of how you can, start building your cybersecurity career, as well as a portfolio strategy that you can use to sort of like build proof around the skills that you have within cybersecurity as you build going forward. Now, the biggest problem that I have seen for most people that are trying to enter cybersecurity is that when they do research, they find that in cybersecurity, there's a lot of different roles and titles around cybersecurity. So they get confused to say, but what does this role entail? What is this about? So it's a little bit overwhelming because they have not really worked in that space and fully understand what each role entails. There's a lot of communication around certifications. In actual fact, there's hundreds of certifications that are being offered out there in the market, which further confuses people to say, which one am I supposed to be doing if I am going to be building a career? There's a lot of tools around cybersecurity that people want to learn, that people advocate that other people should learn, labs and all of those things. People don't have a clear roadmap to follow when they want to start building their cybersecurity career. And there's also a culture of learn everything, right? So with learning everything, a person ends up not feeling focused in what they need to be doing, and then ultimately they just get overwhelmed. So there's a lot of noise in the system, which is making it difficult for people to progress in their careers. So I like this quote, which says, beginners don't fail due to lack of ability. They fail due to a lack of clarity. So clarity in terms of what it is that you need to be doing is one of the biggest things that is making people to fail, right? I have done a bit of research and also spoken to a lot of people, seasoned professionals within the cybersecurity space, to sort of like delve into what are some of the building blocks that people need to put in place to build their cybersecurity career or to break into cybersecurity. And most of these people agree that, firstly, one needs to learn IT and cybersecurity fundamentals. One needs to get certifications. One needs to get, hands-on practice. One needs to build a portfolio, network, update your resume and all of those things. And it begs the question to say that if everyone agrees on those ingredients, but why is it that beginners are still stuck? This actually led me to 3 hidden gaps that I want to share with everyone today that I believe will help in, moving into the right direction. So the first gap that I see is that people obviously lack clarity, right? I did mention that there's a lot of roles. People don't understand what are the different domains, and then where do I start based on that? The second gap that I will touch on is around lack of applied skills, right? So people tend to watch videos on YouTube, they take courses, they collect certificates, they do labs, but they do not document all of those labs. Um, One thing that I want to say is that knowledge without application produces zero evidence. You can go through all of those courses, watch the videos, collect the certifications, but if you're not applying and documenting what you are learning, there's zero evidence to show the next person that this is what I know and this is what I've done. The third hidden gap that people should solve for to move further in their career from a cybersecurity perspective is solving for the lack of visibility, right? A lot of people that learn and apply things, they do it in the corner of their own homes, right? They keep what they're doing private. People need to put things out there for other people to see so that other people can know what you're about and be interested in the work that you're doing. People don't build portfolios that they can show that, I've done this specific course. From that knowledge, this is what I can build. Um, People don't post, right? People don't show their way of thinking. So ultimately, most people do not get rejected because they do not know the thing. It is only because they are just not being seen out there. So I want to share a mental model with the audience that I believe will sort of like assist in terms of building their own cybersecurity roadmap, right? So I call this model the CLAC model, which stands for clarity, leverage, action, and then calibration. I will go into each one of these domains of the model just to break down what are the practical things that you need to do just to leverage the model to build your own cybersecurity roadmap. So the first one, it was clarity, right? People that are interested in cybersecurity need to start with clarity. What do I mean by that? With the many roles, many certifications, many tools, to avoid being overwhelmed, you need to sit down and think and build a level of clarity. And how you can practically do this is that you need to sit down and research and understand the different cybersecurity domains, right? From a cybersecurity perspective, we have a lot of different domains. I mean, you have your identity and access management, you have your vulnerability management, you have your risk management. So you need to sit down and take time to understand what are the different domains that are out there before you start anything, right? Secondly, you need to take stock of your current transferable skills. So in whatever role that you occupied previously, there's definitely skills that you will have accumulated. So it is important to sit down and take stock of your current transferable skills that you can use within cybersecurity. The other thing that people need to do is that they need to reflect on their natural abilities. I mean, there's people that are more inclined to working, getting their hands dirty, working in more technical kinds of roles. In cybersecurity terms, that would be like your pen testing, your vulnerability management, and all of those things. So you need to sit down and just introspect and see what is your natural ability. Are you more of a technical person or are you more of a non-technical person? If you are non-technical, maybe governance, risk, and compliance might be a better fit for you. Once you've done that, you need to map the required skills and credentials that would then lead you into that specific domain that you have chosen for yourself. So now you understand the different domains, you understand what are your current transferable skills, you understand what comes natural for you. You have now chosen, technical or non-technical. Now you have also now mapped what are the different skills and credentials that you would need in that specific domain that you're going to pursue. So once you've done that, now you have level of clarity in terms of how do you then need to move forward and execute. Then the next step after you've gained the clarity is to use the leverage, right? By leverage, I'm essentially saying that there's things that you currently have in your arsenal that is going to make your journey much easier. I've spoken about existing skills, right? Let's say, for instance, you were working let's say for me, I'll use myself as an example. I had been working in business as a business analyst. And as a business analyst, one of the key things that I needed to sharpen from a skill perspective was around report writing. When I had to write business requirements documents, I had to communicate with different stakeholders in terms of gathering requirements and making sure that there's that understanding. So with those skills, I could essentially take them and use them in cybersecurity. So that was a point of leverage for myself because I didn't have to learn those skills from scratch. I could use those as leverage to build upon my career and go forward with that. The second point that I just want to iterate around leverage is focusing on high return learning. One of the things that I mentioned, which is noise for people, is that there's hundreds of certifications out there. But now that you have clarity in terms of the domain that you need to follow, now you need to make sure that you focus on those specific certifications or courses that are going to yield the best result for that specific domain. You don't need to go out there and do everything, right? So focus on high return learning. The other point of leverage is around the free tools that are available out in the cybersecurity space, right? There's a lot of platforms that you can use for free. There's a lot of communities that you can join to learn more. I think another example is the initiative by Wale, the Cybersecurity Mentoring Group. It's one of those communities. Once you join, there are a lot of learning that you can get from that. So use those things as leverage as you build your career, right? And ultimately, this optimizes for faster progress with less overwhelm. Now, the next step is the action step. Now you've gained clarity in terms of how are you going to start your cybersecurity career. You've identified your leverage points in terms of how are you going to fast track your learning and make sure that you are focused. Now, step 3 is time for action, right? The first thing that I advise, especially people who are entering the spaces, you have to do the basics, right? You need to learn IT and security fundamentals. I always like sharing with people to say that there are certain fields where you don't need to be a hardcore techie. For example, as a GRC specialist, you don't really need to be a hardcore techie. You just need to have like those foundational skills or foundational knowledge to be able to operate in that space. But for someone who's more technical, like your pen testing side of things, you might need to learn a little bit more around that. But in essence, learning IT and security fundamentals is the first step that one should take. Secondly, once you have learned those fundamentals, you need to supplement your current skills with domain-specific skills. Now, you've identified your current leverage skills that you already have, your innate abilities. Now you need to supplement those with domain-specific skills. Let's say it's GRC, right? Then it means now you need to delve into GRC a little bit more. You can watch YouTube videos around GRC. You can take courses on Udemy or any other platform. You can learn frameworks. There's a lot of free frameworks from the NIST publications, so you can read up on those. From an ISO perspective as well, there's a lot of standards that you can learn that can help you to build those domain-specific supplementary skills. Once you have those skills, you can then now start to build practical projects that are aligned with those skills. And I always like saying this because I know for sure that once you learn something and you go and apply it reinforces it in your mind. You get to see the nuances, being able to apply it, and it gets to stay with you in your mind because you have now used that knowledge to apply into a real world kind of a scenario. Then you need to be starting to create portfolios based on the projects that you build, right? It's not enough to just build projects. You need to document those projects and then put them somewhere so that the next person, maybe a hiring manager, will be able to see and follow and see what you have actually done. Thirdly, you need to obtain certifications. there's always an argument around certifications because in most cases people focus too much on you know getting certifications without learning and applying skills, right? Building portfolios. It's not bad to get certifications. It's actually a good thing, but do not make your whole effort to be around obtaining more and more and more certifications. It must be focused, and the certifications that you go for must be aligned to the profession or the domain that you are in, right? So go and get those certifications just to demonstrate to employers that you do understand the subject matter. Optimize your LinkedIn profile. I can't stress this enough, right? Your LinkedIn is where other people, other professionals, even possible hiring managers are going to discover you. So make sure that you optimize your profile and make it attractive for potential employers to see what you're about and reach out to you, right? Post about what you're learning and doing as you build like your practical projects, as you're learning new skills, as you're doing courses, post about it on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be as a beginner. You don't necessarily have to post every day. It can be maybe twice a week or once a week, but have that visibility on LinkedIn to showcase what is it that you're busy with, what you are about, what you're learning, so that you can also attract other like-minded individuals that can follow you. And you never know where opportunities can come from in the future. So post about what you're doing on LinkedIn. Um, Connect with other professionals in your field. Networking is important. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure that you update your resume, create those profiles on your on job portals, practice for interviews using interview questions, and then stay up to date with the current trends. There's a lot of podcasts, newsletters that get issued where you can just keep on, learning what is currently happening out there. What are the new trends? What are the current breaches that we are seeing? And when you stay up to date with the current trends, it actually also helps you in terms of being ready for job interviews as well, because you might find that in a job interview, they ask you about, what is the most interesting development in cybersecurity in your view. And if you are keeping up with current trends, it's going to be easy for you to respond to that. Visible competence that can demonstrate to potential employers is achieved by doing all of these actions, right? So for the last step of the model, it's around calibration. So calibration is just about having those weekly reflections to see how you're doing in terms of your roadmap. Are you on the right track? If you feel that there's certain things that you need to prioritize over others, you can adjust your roadmap. From your portfolio perspective, you can then add more projects as you build, iterate your portfolio, improve it, fine-tune it, make it better, right? And obviously improve from feedback that you see as you do the work. Continuous improvement essentially will lead to job readiness in the future. So I've spoken about the roadmap that you can use to build towards your cybersecurity experience, and then finally landing a role. And one of the important pieces of what I shared in that roadmap is the portfolio, right? So the portfolio, I cannot stress it enough, especially for people that are trying to enter the cybersecurity space without necessarily having experience. Um, Employers do not hire you do not hire you because you tell them that you know how to do things. They hire you because they can see that you have been doing things. This is where a portfolio becomes very critical. A portfolio shows potential employers how you think, how you analyze, how you analyze issues, how you apply concepts, how you communicate, as well as how you actually approach solving problems, right? So in terms of the portfolio, you might be asking yourself, okay, what actually counts as proof um, in terms of building this portfolio that I'm referring to? It can be something as simple as beginner-friendly artifacts such as, dummy policies. It can be a dummy third-party risk management questionnaire that you're doing. Anything that can show that you have actually taken the skill that you have learned from whatever source, and you can actually apply that, right? It can be documented learning. For instance, let's say you are doing penetration testing, you're using your Kali Linux to, to mock an actual penetration test. You can take screenshots of that, of how you actually, follow the whole process end to end. Take screenshots of that, what was the result, and then just document it for someone else to see. Even a dummy, penetration test report, right? So those are some of the documented learnings. Clear explanations, it should be easy enough for the next person to follow. What is it that you were doing? Like, what is it that you were doing? How did you do it? And what was the result from that? Um, Use realistic small projects. Sometimes you can just imagine, I'm sure in the area that you are at, there's probably maybe a small company um, that is operating there. You can then create scenarios around that small company. Just think about if you were in that company and then you had to do a piece of work, how would that look like? Use that as realistic small projects that you can follow and create those artifacts or that proof, right? Your learning must become something that you create. Do not learn something and just keep it in your head. Document it, share it with people so that they can see what you are about. Now, I just want to share some examples of what a portfolio or what types of artifacts a portfolio would have. So I have an example of proof from a technical cybersecurity perspective, as well as a non-technical side of things, which is GRC. So from the technical side, you could create, fictitious SOC investigation reports, threat intelligence summaries, cloud misconfiguration reviews, phishing analysis, log analysis reports. So all of those things would nicely fit into a portfolio from a technical side of things. Now, from the non-technical side of things, or AKA GRC side, you can create things like your risk registers, control mapping, policy outlines, asset classification, compliance checklists, audit summaries, or even third-party risk audit questionnaires, right? So all of these things can be then packaged nicely and then uploaded onto a platform like GitHub, where you can just send someone a link. They can then go through it and see, oh, okay, these are the things that you have actually applied in your career. Another quote: you don't break into cybersecurity by telling people you're learning. You break in by showing them. So I've shared the roadmap in terms of how you can build, how you can gain clarity, use leverage, take actions, and do calibration, right? Now, let's think about the first 6 months, the coming 6 months, in terms of what are some of the things you can actually apply in your own growth, leveraging off of that off of that roadmap, and put it practically for yourself. So this is just a suggestion that you can probably follow, but I think it would more or less be ideal for someone who is actually starting out or who's an aspiring cybersecurity professional. Month 1 to month 2, you can focus on clarity and learning some of the fundamentals, right? Month 3 to month 5, you can now focus on the skill development. That's where most of those actions in terms of that roadmap would come from, like learning learning the courses and all of those things. But I will go a little bit into detail. What are some of the actions that you can take in each one of these months on the 6 months roadmap? And then month 6, reflection and calibration. So let's delve a little bit deeper in terms of some of the actions that you can take on each month. So month 1 to month 2, clarity and fundamentals. This is where obviously you explore the different domains. You explore your innate abilities and your current skills. You choose an entry path that is mostly aligned to you. Identify the resources that you would need to learn the information that you need. Obviously, learning those IT and cybersecurity basics. Join communities and create your LinkedIn profile if you don't have one yet, and also create profiles on the different job portals that are there. Month 3 to month 5, this is where you would now focus on skill development. Now you learn your domain-specific skills, right? As you're learning, you create at least 2 portfolio projects based on the learning that you're undertaking at that point in time. You've already created your LinkedIn profile. Now it's time to optimize that profile and start to post at least weekly. From a networking perspective, you now network with intention. Communities such as this one that we are on is very critical. There are other cybersecurity communities as well that you can learn different things. So you seek those out, you join those communities. Create or update your resume with the skills that you're learning, as well as some of the projects that you've done. And then start preparing for one entry-level certification. If you're starting out in cybersecurity, I always like suggesting the ISC squared certified in cybersecurity. Last time I checked, this certification is actually free, right? So take advantage of that, use that as leverage, go for that. Look into also the CompTIA Security Plus as an entry-level certification that you can go for. So start preparing for one of those within month 3 and month 5. So month 6, this is where you then check your readiness to actually go and write for that certification, whether it's the IC squared certified in cybersecurity or is the CompTIA Security Plus. Then you also reflect on what you've worked on, what worked, what didn't work, what needs to be improved, right? From a LinkedIn perspective, make sure that you update your LinkedIn, you update your portfolio with everything that you've done over the 6 months, your resume, and then start preparing a plan for the next 6 months. Remember, these 6 months is not the only time period that you're working on building your career. You need to iterate, right? You start with the first 6 months as a start, but you iterate. Every 6 months, you go back and look, what have I done? What do I need to add? Prepare, go for the following 6 months. And then By the time you hit a year, a year and 6 months, you will have seen that you've made a lot of progress in terms of building your portfolio, obtaining those certifications, creating awareness about who you are on LinkedIn because now you're posting consistently. You've now joined communities. People know who you are. So within that 1 year to 1 year, 6 months, you will see a lot of progress in terms of that. Um, for final thoughts, the quote that I want to share is that your career changes the moment your skills become visible. So it is very important to be visible out there so that people see what you're about. Um, If you want to know exactly which deliverables to build and how to make your learning visible, I am actually preparing a free portfolio blueprint that I want to share with the community as well as other people that are interested in entering the cybersecurity space. It is going to be a free resource. So right now, I'm still busy working on that to help guide in terms of how do you actually physically build this portfolio? What does it need to look like? What are the templates that you need to use? So if you're interested in that, just go to the link that I've shared there on the screen. It will allow you to go and join the wait list. As soon as that resource becomes available, it's finalized, I'll be able to share it with you via email, and then you can execute on that. With that, I've reached the end of my presentation. Um, I think if there is still time, Wale, I'm happy to take questions.
Yes, dear. Thank you so much, T. I really enjoyed your session and also the way you break down the what people can the specific actions that people can take. Thank you so much for sharing. If you have questions, you can put your question in the chat and T will look at it and provide you feedback. So I would see. Let me see my next slide. Let me share my screen, and then we'll continue. Okay, so let me see. Okay. You can drop your questions. Okay, today is 6th of November of December, and we have done our 25th edition of our engagement with a cybersecurity professional. And we will upload this session before Monday. So you find it on the page. On the top right is the YouTube page, and next is a LinkedIn page. If you are interested in joining, we're building a community of like minds, and as T said, being a part of a community and being active in that community helps to kind of bring you attention to what you're doing. So don't wink in the dark. Don't um don't be looking for opportunity, but you're not speaking out. It's not going to help. As you build your portfolio, you put it out there and let people see what you are doing. In fact, as T was speaking, I was developing some thoughts that I would be using to improve on our cybersecurity mentoring group, and also that people may want to follow. And thanks also for offering um, to share some of the portfolio that you are a template that you are building, and people will be able to follow some tangible process to put things to work. Joseph, I think you have your hands up. You can speak.
Hello, sorry, can you hear me?
T will take your answer. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much. I just have a quick question, right? So, just to give a little background, transitioning. I'm a legal profession, so I'm someone who's passionate about tech and everything. So, I'm currently in the process of transitioning from the legal industry into the cybersecurity, particularly within the GRC space, right? So I wanted to ask particularly on the importance of certification because in as much as I understand, GRC deals with policy drafting, governance and everything related to that. So I wanted to, and I have quite some experience, right, in terms of governance, in terms of policy drafting and everything like that. So I wanted to ask how significant are certifications, like for instance, your CompTIA Security Plus and all that, given that I already have extensive experience within drafting and also governance. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Joseph. So certifications have their place, right? They are actually important in terms of demonstrating to the employer that you do have an understanding of the subject area. Um, Even from a hiring perspective, they do help in terms of being able to, pass through the HR filters, to be able to at least move forward to actually getting the interview. So they are very important in that regard. But with that said, obviously, there's also other things that also become important in terms of building the career. Like I said, like your portfolio is also important. And I think with you, because we have been in the GRC space from a legal perspective, just being able to show that in your resume to say that, how do you then translate the skills that you have from a legal perspective into cybersecurity. I think that is actually very important to show that in your resume, so that the potential employer can see how they can then leverage of your existing skills in that space. So yeah, to answer maybe your question in a short way, certifications are important in terms of being able to be recognized and given an opportunity to go into the interview. Now, what happens in the interview? Obviously, it has to do with your experience, what you've been doing, what you can actually offer the employer. I hope that answers the question, Joseph.
Okay, I guess Joseph is not speaking, but I probably gotten a good response to his question. I don't have any other. There's someone. Okay. Okay. No, nobody. So, someone is asking, T. He said, "What led you to cybersecurity?" Of all the profession, what led you to cybersecurity?
Yeah. So I think I've shared this story for me personally on my LinkedIn, right? For me, when I was in tech, I had been doing the work. I would do it well. I would deliver what I needed to deliver. But for me, the work that I was doing just didn't speak to me in that way. I spent a bit of time, I think about 6 to 7 years, still trying to figure out what is that thing within the tech space that makes me tick, right? And I think I was so fortunate to actually discover cybersecurity. When I discovered cybersecurity, I instantly, grew that interest. And I started to, read more about it, try to learn what it's all about. What are some of the different domains that are there? And for me, what really truly spoke to me was GRC. I got into that, started learning, went for certifications, different courses. And also in the current work that I was doing at the time, seeing how I would then fit the GRC part of things in the work. So I think it was fortunate that I was already in tech. I was working with security, just that I did not have a security hat, as I was doing my work. But now with this new love for cybersecurity, I always put on my security hat. Yeah, just worked it like that. And hey, it's been quite rewarding for me, I must say. I'm really, really, really enjoying the cybersecurity space. I hope that answers the question, Ruth.
Okay, I'm sure Ruth got the yes. Thank you. Yeah, sure, that's awesome. Okay, I think there's no other question in the chat. I guess that's the end of our session, and I usually end with this slide. Okay.
Sorry, Ali.
Yeah,
Before maybe you conclude, I don't know if it would be helpful for me to share the slide deck with
sure,
your
sure,
audience.
sure.
Yeah, I think I'll send it to you and then you can distribute
Yeah,
to.
I will. I will.
All
I will.
right.
Thank you so much, Tiyi. I appreciate your time, and we will continue our conversation in our private chat. Thank you so much. I'm handing this slide or this session with this slide, and I've used this slide for the last 3 or 4 editions, and it's something around action brings clarity. People often believe that you need to know what you want to do before you take action. I believe also that sometimes isn't when you start that journey before you know exactly what you want to do. And till we said something around ISC2 Square, which is the entry-level cybersecurity certification, and it gives you some sort of introductory experience of what cybersecurity is all about. If you are able to start with that, which is the action, you will know which area of cybersecurity you should focus on. Don't stay outside and thinking that you will get that clarity from outside. You need to step into the pool and then find the next step that you will take. Action, in my view, brings a lot of clarity. Now, this is 2025. In fact, when we started the first edition this year, we have gone through a lot of programs. And there could be people who are saying, I want to be in cyber, I want to do something in cyber. But this is December. This is basically, okay, we have one more edition. So we're going to have our last edition on the 20th of this month. Now, some people have been trying to start that journey and they are still saying, I want to start cyber, I want to start cyber. When are you going to start? Again, don't get into that mode of New Year resolution, because by February, everybody forget about what they resolved to do. You can actually start that journey today. So what you have always wanted to do, when are you going to start? You want to start cyber? Can you start that journey today? Tiyi has explained quite a lot that you can take away with, and I'm hoping that you will either pick the presentation when he shares it, and or you go back and watch this session again, the steps that he has itemized, that you will follow it through and then get prepared for the opportunity, because it will come. It will surely come. Thank you for joining us again tonight, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week, and please feel free to reach out. Clarity is important in cyber. If you need clarity on your journey, you want to start, you don't know how to start, Cybersecurity Mentoring Group would help you to ask some questions and provide you that clarity. And it's something that I would be glad to help you do and to get you started on your journey to cyber. Join our community online and stay close, because we have a lot of programs coming up in 2027. 2026. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. and we will see you again, and bye for now.